also you never win an argument, and that's not. Like there are no winners when it comes to arguments in marriage. Like someone might get their way, but if you've strong-armed them into doing it, you've got someone who is rejected, resentful, bitter, potentially. So like even if you're 40% happy, 60% happy, just go with it because you want the best.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Mike and Crystal podcast. Once again, we are glad you joined us. Today we say welcome to all our returning subscribers and those who are with us for the first time. Thank you so much for joining us. We've been joined by a beautiful couple, our friend Andrew and Phoebe, and they're just lovely people. We love their hearts. They are pastors to our church, and Phoebe's eye doctor.
Yes,
eye
that's
doctor.
correct.
That's how they call you?
Very good one.
That's the straightforward way of saying it.
Eye doctor. Do you have some other details that you can add there? How do you describe your profession?
So I'm an ophthalmologist, so eye doctor is the best way of saying
It's
it.
simple, eye doctor,
Yeah.
you know?
Eye doctor is simple.
Which one did you say again?
Ophthalmologist.
Ophthalmologist,
Okay.
yes.
Well
yes. Well done. And Andrew is you have a different background, or you did theology too and stuff like that?
Yeah, so I have a human resources background of a decade before jumping into ministry, but I still find people issues in ministry, so I still work in HR.
Yes. So both of them are both of you serve as our 8:30 service, the chapel 8:30 service pastors. And it's such a blessing to be with you. I think I need to introduce my Miss Universe too.
Yes. Do that. Introduce me.
I've introduced you. You're my Miss Universe. That's what I said. I said you're my Miss Universe.
Yeah, Phoebe and Andrew have two beautiful boys.
Yes.
That I really like. I think I'm gonna steal them from them.
You can take them home with you if you like.
Particularly on date night, that'd be great.
I think my opinion matters too. My opinion matters simply because of the work that it involved too. Yeah, but I love the boys. I love the boys.
Beautiful. So we're gonna talk about
Our decision-making process differ. That's the title of the conversation. Like your decision-making process is not the same. Like the way you process decision, the way Phoebe processes decisions is not the same. So I know people are eager to know what is that? Like what happens there? So let's get started.
Yeah, but before we do that, remember to subscribe and click the notification bell so you do not miss our next episode.
Beautiful.
So
we really want to know first what attracted you to Phoebe and Drew.
To my Miss Universe.
Yes.
Well, you've got a contender, Pastor Christelle.
Yes.
So absolutely, hot contender. Where do I start?
From the beginning.
Well, you know,
what attracted to?
You know what? It was a friendship that developed into love, and we got to the same destination in different ways. But happy disposition, the smile, the sparkling blue eyes, just how I guess and. So that was the initial attraction.
Yes.
She looks good too.
Yes, she does.
All of the above.
Yes.
But I think as we started to court and date, and I know, I'm just trying to be
That's a good language.
professional
To
and
court and date.
trying to be classy.
Yes.
Anyway, and just spending time with her, getting to know her,
Yes.
it was just so easy to be around her.
Yeah.
And just whether we were talking, whether we were just driving in the car for hours and not saying anything, like it was just easy. Her presence was just lovely.
Her presence.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like the presence of God.
Yeah, that's exactly well. You know, like
Phoebe, what attracted you to Andrew?
to
What
this
happened?
young fella.
Yeah, young fella.
Bella.
I'd known Andrew for quite some time before I became interested in him. And in fact, someone asked me about a year before we started dating, would you be interested in Andrew Mackenzie? No. No, he's not my type at all. And it was very much a slow burn to come around to the fact that Andrew was everything that I was looking for but couldn't see right in front of my nose.
Wow.
And it took me quite some time of growing up, we were quite young, to realise that everything I could possibly want in a life partner and soulmate was sitting right there, and that we were friends, but I couldn't see it in front of me, that this is a man of integrity, a man who loved God, a man who was selfless, a man who put his family first, had a great sense of humour. And was
We can see that. We can see the sense of humor.
And he was down to earth. He said a thing, he did it. He was honest. And he wasn't interested in playing games or stringing people along.
So good.
He was just a man of honour and integrity. And once I finally realised that about him, it was a no-brainer.
How did you get to know that? How did you realize
I think
that?
she's still going, by the way, so let us
Okay, let me wait. We are still listening.
And he was very handsome.
Okay. We were waiting for that. Yes. That's what you were waiting for.
wasn't.
Anyway. How did you discover that? How did you discover the character side of him? And
We were going to the same Bible study at the time, and so I'd known him as a friend for quite a few years. We weren't close friends, but I'd known him through the same church, and we'd attended Bible study together. And he was serving in the same church at the same time, and I'd hear him preach at church as well. And one day, out of the blue, it just hit me, and I really felt a word from God, which I know, don't always listen when God says marry that person. But for me, I don't think I would have even let myself become attracted to this man without the okay from God that actually this is the person that I have for you. So you need to be okay with developing feelings for them. And once I'd made that process and decision in my own heart, he took a little bit longer to come around and realise it. And so I had to be a little bit patient.
for him to
realise it, because once God had given me the go-ahead that this is actually the person that I have for you, I was, okay, well, I'm ready to go then. What are you waiting for, Andrew?
Wow. That's beautiful. That you say you got the okay from God. Was it like a peace or?
Yeah, it was never for me at the time a romantic crush even. It wasn't that I was infatuated with this young man. It was just that I had a real sense that actually, no, I'm not sure when it will happen, but no, that is the man that God has put apart for me, and he put that upon my heart in a really profound way. And there's not been many things in my life that I've felt so clearly on. And it wasn't an infatuation, it wasn't a teenage crush, it wasn't a romantic thing. It was just a real peace that actually, no, that is the person that I'm going to marry.
You still look like a teenager, so it's fine.
Yes.
It's fine. How long have you been married for?
It'll be 12 years later this year.
12 years.
Yeah.
Best 12 years of our life.
Yes.
Oh,
absolutely.
Beautiful.
Absolutely. That's lovely. So, what does Andrew, something that he does that really gets on your nerve?
He puts the toilet paper on the wrong way.
What is the right way?
With the paper going over the top. The paper should always go over not
or
under.
Over.
Oh, okay. Say that again. So the right way is paper goes
comes
over
over.
and comes back like this.
No, the loose end of the paper
so
comes
the paper has to
over.
be, you have to pull it like grrr,
Yes,
not
Like
exactly.
that.
Pastor Christo gets it.
No, you both ways you push it. You pull it.
No. It's easier when it's from the
Thank
top.
you.
From the top.
Yeah.
From the top.
Okay,
Not
so
on-
that's the
not
right
on the
way.
wall
Not
side.
on the
Not on the
wall.
wall side.
Because in the night you can't find
Yeah,
the end.
absolutely.
Oh, so in the night we can just do this and pull it. You can't see, you just pull it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Oh,
And he puts the toilet paper
You have
on the
to
wrong
learn,
way.
my friend.
Yeah,
You
I
have to
know.
learn, my friend.
Yeah. Okay.
You and I have to learn.
Yeah.
Are you a culprit as well?
Yeah.
No, I don't know which side I put it. I think I like it to be like this.
Thank you. Everybody
Yeah.
agrees.
Yes, I
Good,
think I
because
do. Yeah, I like it
Are we
to be.
3-on-1 here, are we?
Yeah.
Yeah? All right,
The
fine.
right way and the wrong way.
Okay, all right.
Okay, Andrew,
All in vain.
what does Phoebe do that you're like, that gets on your nerve, that annoy you a little bit?
What? There's nothing that really gets me.
Yeah.
Like
Saint Phoebe.
Safe.
it's just
Saint Holy Phoebe. Or
no. I'm not trying to be careful here or
Yeah.
hide anything, but there's nothing that really makes my blood boil like toilet paper. I can't even believe that's a thing. Yeah,
That is so cool.
yeah.
Chill.
Yeah.
I guess I just don't care enough, and she doesn't do anything that. Oh, actually,
easy
no,
when
no.
America
You remember. Bring it
It's
on.
popped
Bring
in
it
my
on.
head now.
Bring it on.
Okay,
Bring it
so
on.
I'm at an intersection. I'm driving because I'm the better out of the two of us, and I'm always driving.
Yes, we
You'll
understand
admit that.
that.
Careful.
Okay, and so you pull up, and then there's cars coming both ways.
Yes.
So you look that way, and she will look that way too, as I'm looking that way. So I'll just get a great shot of her head, and I'll have to move it back. But I'm in control. I
Yes,
make
I
the
want to
decision
see
about
both
when to go.
sides. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So, anyway,
make a
That's
rebuttal?
annoying. I agree with you. That's annoying.
Can I
Yeah.
make a rebuttal?
Yes, please. Defend
Oh,
your
really?
case.
I navigate, you drive. We stick
Yes.
to what we're good at.
Yes.
I grant you, I'm not the world's best driver, but I'm
Yes.
a good navigator. I'm good at spotting car parks.
Yes.
And the times that I sit back and think, you know what, I'm not going to speak up. I'm
Yes,
not going to
yes.
help. I'm just going to sit back and be the passenger.
Yes.
Why aren't you helping me find a park?
Ah.
Why aren't you helping me with directions?
we might need to cut now so we can have an argument backstage.
You go and sort that first and then come back for the rest. So we understand you do it because you do it well. So that's why you have to look both sides and make sure you give good directions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm being helpful.
Yeah, I understand your side. Yeah, that's really good. So we are talking about how you differ in your decision-making processes. And I think we already started to sense that, of course, you are not the same. You are created differently, but you process your decisions differently. So how do you reach agreement? What's the difference and how do you reach agreement?
The difference first would be the easiest to discuss.
Yeah.
And I think the differences goes very much back to the way that we function in our work, in our day-to-day lives, which shapes how we then make decisions.
Yes.
And I can start if you like.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, well,
please.
yeah, have a go.
Ladies first.
So
Yeah.
I've always been a very decisive, relatively impatient person. And my entire day is revolved around seeing someone as a patient for 10 or 15 minutes, taking all the information in very quickly, and then making a firm decision that I need to stick to and act upon.
Yes.
And all day, every day, I take in information, make a decision, act on it.
Yeah.
Next person.
And so that's the way that I go about most decision making, that I don't like to mess around. It's just I'm happy to take the information in front of me at this point in time, make my decision and be happy with it and move forward from that, knowing that, you know, in any scenario, you could have 3 possible decisions in front of you, and
Yes.
all of them are good decisions at the end of the day. It doesn't necessarily matter which one you choose. You will make any one of those 3 good, so you make a decision with the information you have. So
Okay.
I tend to make decisions quite quickly and
Can you
be...
expand a little bit on the 3
Decision.
decisions?
Wow.
Was that just an example?
which car shall I buy? There's 3 cars I'm looking at.
Yes.
They're all good cars. Does it, you know, any one of those cars is going to be a good car.
I
So
see,
you're going
I
to be
see.
happy with whichever car you decide on. You don't need to
Pros and
spend
cons of each.
3 months researching
Thinking.
every single car and thinking about the pros
See
and
that?
cons.
Wow.
Because at the end of the day, whichever one you choose, you'll be happy with. Just pick one.
Okay.
Andrew, on the other hand, likes to take his time with the decisions and spend time researching the pros and cons of the 3 cars.
And so part of that is my professional background being in human resources.
Yes.
So, and, you know, we work together, so we know when we're dealing with complex issues. And not to say that, you know, diagnosing an eye disease is not complex.
Yes.
However, there's just things that bubble to the surface when you're dealing with people, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
let's just say it's a workplace investigation. and you've got a number of people that are involved. It takes time to hear their story, to work out how much truth is in that story or statement in person A, and then you talk to person B and hear their side of the story, and then person C, and then you have to match it up against legislation and procedure and policy. And so that can take days and weeks, and things change, and there's organisational context. And so my head is just a swirl of information, and it just takes time for that to settle. Now, my head doesn't work as well as her head, so it just takes time. And so whenever we have to decide on big things, that's just the approach. Now, so you'll come up with your conclusion very quickly in 15 minutes. Hence, thus, therefore, this is the way we go about it. And you will, you've taken a good time to patiently wait for me. And I don't know if I become faster or you become more patient in that decision-making process. Maybe a bit of both, to be fair. We've never really run the litmus test over that. But we just go through that process. You allow me to go through my process. I allow you to go through your process. We discuss. We make sure that we're on the same page at the end of the day.
That's so good.
So
we'll often land on the same page, though.
That's good.
It's like, remember going in high school and you would sit in maths class and you might be able to get to the answer by working out in your own workings how to get that answer, but then there's the syllabus answer the syllabus working out that the teacher will teach you, and so you get the same answer that the syllabus will say, but you've gone about it a different way. And so that's just how it's kind of worked.
Can you take us through some decisions that you had to make? And Phoebe was like, 15 minutes, this is what we are doing, and you were like, no, I need time to process this. Can you give us some examples of how
we made a big decision recently in terms of buying a car. So, and I think that's an example that every couple has gone through in some way, shape or form. And we've done that a few times in the decade or so that we've been married, and different circumstances will drive that decision. So
the process is always much the same, with me being like, come on, let's buy the car. I'm happy with this one. Let's just get that one. And
I like the cup holders. It holds my coffee. What's your
more
objection,
is there to
Andrew?
decide?
And like, okay, well, let's look at the reliability, the history. Let's do a search on the traffic authority about whether it's been a write-off, and let's compare it and let's spreadsheet it with other makes and models and whatever else, and then land on what we want, and then you start the process of shopping around the yards. And so you might have what you deem is a good car. Like for a long time, you were talking about this one car, this one make and model that you really like. And then I thought, it doesn't really score highly on my score sheet on Microsoft Excel, but it works, so we'll try it. And then I said, why don't we go with this particular model? And so we test drove the two, and you said, I like my model. She liked the model that I chose most, and you're happy with that. Well, let's use another example where I wasn't right.
Which is...
So,
which is
more often than not.
Which is often.
No. Now, how we arrived in our current city of Tamworth. God really told you, and so we lived through the same circumstances, went through the same decision-making process. God spoke to you. You didn't tell me, God told me that we're moving to Tamworth.
I don't think that's fair.
You allowed me to go through my decision-making process. And so we arrived in Tamworth, and I wasn't convinced that we were meant to be in Tamworth. However, not long after, it became very evident to me that we were meant to be in Tamworth. You'd never
About
said
2 years after I had the conviction.
How did you do that?
So.
You knew God was calling you to be in Tamworth. Why didn't you just go to Him and say, God said we go to Tamworth? You obey God or you disobey God. Choose one. God or the devil.
It's a lot of self-discipline, but it's not a fair thing to put on anybody that I've had this word that you can't either confirm or deny, and how do you rebut that? It's not fair in your marriage to put that on someone. And I think also the litmus test for me is if it's truly a word from God, then he'll do the work in Andrew's heart.
Yes,
And
yeah,
that's
good.
the confirmation of the
Beautiful,
word.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so good.
When Andrew is dragging his feet, which is sorry, this
That's a fair assessment.
Exactly. In your world,
It feels like it
it feels like
sometimes.
you are just taking long to make this decision. How do you feel about that? How do you process that?
I have to step back from my own self and look at it and recognize that actually he's being wise.
Yeah.
And appreciate, as much as it's frustrating for me, appreciate the wisdom and appreciate the fact that he wants to go to the effort to create an Excel spreadsheet and he wants to go to the effort to research. He's actually looking after us.
Yeah,
Yes.
good.
And he's actually got our best interests at heart. And another thing that I would really admire and respect about him is that in most decisions that are minor, you know, where we go for holiday, how we decorate our house, in all of those things, he's more often than not happy to let me just make the decision.
Yeah.
And he's happy to go along with whatever
Yeah.
I've decided
Yeah.
on
Yes. Yes.
because those things are less important and
Yes.
he's happy with the decision I'll make. So I know that if he's actually spoken up over a decision or over something that we have to agree on, this is actually a really important one for him, otherwise he wouldn't be speaking about it. So I would do well to recognize that if he's taken the effort to have a discussion or even an argument about it, then it must be something that's really
So
important
good.
to him,
Yes.
otherwise he wouldn't be speaking. So I would do well to stop and listen, and in the instance of the car or a few other examples, actually be willing to be swayed.
Yeah. How did you get there? Did
So
you
good.
just one day you just wake up in the morning and I will start to be patient, or it was a process where you learned after some conflict in between you understand? No, I just need to be patient with him.
Patience doesn't come naturally
Yes.
to me.
Talk to us about the process. I want to hear that.
It's probably track record too, isn't it?
The
Like-
times that you have...
Are you saying that you have a track record of
Well, not all
good
the time.
decisions?
No, not all the time. But when you get married in your early 20s, like what right do I have to say I'm always right? Or like I don't have a track record. I'm a young guy. Like
Yes.
I've never made big life decisions.
Yes.
So you learn to trust the track record and the consistency of that.
And knowing that when you're putting the brakes on something, it's not usually that it's a flat, you know, I disagree with you and I'm not letting you do this. It's a, hey, let's slow down, let's take our time with this.
Yeah.
And either we'll end up in that first decision that you wanted to make anyway, but we'll know that we were wise about it, or we'll turn to a slightly different decision. And in the occasional instance where I have sort of agreed that actually, yes, that decision I was going to make in retrospect wouldn't have been great for us, and I have agreed with you in the end and changed, then I can look back. There's only a handful of times that we've actually changed direction from slowing down.
Yeah.
But I can recognise that in those instances, actually, yes, that was the right call to slow down and to change.
Yeah.
And so because it's infrequent that we've actually really had to sort of change direction, I know that you wouldn't be saying it unless you had a strong conviction over it, and that it's in the interests of our family and looking after our family, and that I would do well, I would do well to sometimes slow down and listen to wisdom and do a little bit more research. And,
There are two qualities just you've just mentioned here. Like Andrew learned to trust you with some quick decisions in the house, and you learned to trust him with like his to process wisdom in the. So, can you help us to understand how did you get there? How did you get to a place where you understood, Andrew, I will just trust my wife with these decisions on where to go for holidays or how to design the house or something like that, and you learned that when it comes to this, let's call them big decisions, buying a car or moving town or something like that, I need really to listen to my husband. How did you get to that place of peace where you dependent on each other like that?
Yeah,
That's trust.
Because there's so many couples who like really
Struggle
don't know
with
how
that.
to do that.
Yeah.
And I believe that's when once you know how to do that, when you get to that place, that's really good, because then you understand each other. You know that you're different, you're not supposed to be the same, but then you've learned how to make it work. It's actually you've worked on your marriage. So how did you get to that point? I know there's also time, like age, years, but how did you realize that we've we're doing great on this. We're getting there.
Yeah. Was there any tension at the beginning, or how did you get to a place that it sounds like a wise place to be? Were you just born like that?
I'd probably disqualify that in a sense in saying that I don't know that we're at that place. And I certainly don't want to say that we've got problems, but I don't want to think that we've got it all sorted by being at that place.
Yes.
So I'd love to think that we've gone through the correct process over years. And like I can see how she lives her life. I can see that she has time with God. And so I think there's a difference between waiting, which is idleness sometimes, and waiting on God.
That's good.
So like waiting on God isn't idle. It's not being dragging your feet like you said. It's about, okay, we're working with an eternal God who can take his time according to our expectations. Like we often think that he takes too much time because we want the answers now in a 15-minute consult. But we don't always have that option to hear straight away. So I think that it's just allowing time to shape you and trust and just open communication and being okay with challenging. All right, well, that's the outcome, but how did you get there? Why do you think that that's the correct way to do things? Why? And this is why I think this is the correct way. And just being okay with putting a bit of tension in your conversation and putting a bit of tension in your marriage. And sometimes that might end in tears, but only on that day. You just wrap it up the next day or later that evening and say, okay, can we keep kind of seeing how we can land on the same page here?
Wow.
I also think there's an element that keeping your love and your friendship at the center of all the decision-making process changes the way that you view any potential conflict. I would say potentially early on in our marriage, and we're by no means perfect at all, but early on in our marriage you'd go into a conflict sort of coming at each other, each thinking the other one is trying to win one over you or trying to get their way ahead of yours. And I think the more that you grow together and the more that you learn to love each other and the more that you build on your friendship with each other, even if you don't agree on something, you're not coming at each other. You might be jostling, but you're all, you're not jostling at each other. You're jostling as you head in the same direction with the same goals. And it's all for the benefit of your family. You might have a slightly different opinion about what is best for your family, but you both want what's best for your family, not self above.
Are you saying that you know that he's got the best interest, your best interest, the best interest of the family, and vice versa, and that's why you don't really struggle to trust, because you trust him that he's got the best interest of the family at heart.
And that's beautiful. It's beautiful because I've realized that both of you have the best interest for the family and for each other. And so that is like the basics of everything. And so everything out there, it's like, well, we can,
I mean, the difference.
And you pick your battles too, don't you? Like I don't have a strong conviction, a godly conviction on the toilet paper situation. At the end of the day,
it keeps going on the wrong way.
It wipes the same stuff. So
you don't think
whether
God
it comes from the back or the front, it's still going to the back. Anyway. So you just pick your battles. And so you've mentioned that already. It doesn't really matter. And you know exactly that I love you, and we got that on camera, didn't we? And it's on record, and I would do anything for you, and I know that you do the same for me. And there's a track record of sacrificing for one another and going off and praying for one another. And sometimes it might be going off to pray that they will see your point of view.
I'm really praying for him right now.
God, please let her.
But we've done that enough times to work out that God doesn't answer to that or operate like that. And so you just have to go with the flow sometimes.
I think one thing that we will often do when we're disagreeing on something is hold hands.
Okay.
But we're not disagreeing. I like holding your hand anyway.
So as much as I don't want to, and
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's intentional. When you disagree, you hold hands.
Yeah.
I love that. And
Keep-
then?
Yeah.
Some physical contact.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the disagreements now would be more from a place of, it's not that I don't think that you want the best for our family.
Yeah.
Just I don't think that what you think is best
Is
for our
right.
family
Yes.
is actually best for our family.
Yes.
But we both want what's best for our family and can recognize that the other person wants what's best for our family.
That is
Yeah.
so wise.
That's beautiful.
You guys are
Yeah.
so wise.
So how do you get that? That's so when there is tension, one of you just remembers, let's hold hand. You just do that.
It's usually
It's him
Yeah.
who starts.
yeah.
Because I'm the touchy-feely one.
Yes.
So, yeah, I
And I
want to
will
know... Yeah.
Are we together? Are you
I want
with
to
me
know
on
that...
this?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's just...
That's a
I
good
don't know,
thing.
and maybe it's a masculine man thing as well. Like, I'm very physical, so... I've had to deal with temper issues in the past.
Yeah.
So I'm physical. When I'm angry, you know that the antidote to my anger is doing something physical. Lift something heavy, throw something heavy, run fast, like
Yeah.
just sweat it out, burn
So
it
good.
out.
Wow.
So
And
good.
so I don't want her to think that, and you hear about men treating the women badly through
Yeah.
a physical
Yep.
altercation.
Yep.
And so I don't want her to ever think that that's even a possibility.
So good.
And she could smack me down, but like she could really
Mess-
do a good number on me.
Yeah.
But I don't ever want her to feel like
so good.
so I can have a really strong conversation with her and tell her that I'm angry or upset, and if I'm holding her, that takes the sting out of my words.
So
Oh,
good.
that's
So
beautiful.
and
Wow.
she doesn't feel in danger because this doesn't happen in front of people. It doesn't happen in front of our sons.
Yeah.
It happens late at night when we're
Yeah.
tired,
Yeah.
when behind closed doors,
Yeah,
in
good.
private, and so I want her to know that she's safe.
That's good.
And so we hold hands. We start by
Yes.
doing that.
it's sort of just that physical way of saying, I don't agree with you right now, but I love you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good.
Beautiful.
And so physically, hopefully, it doesn't just end at holding hands. If you know what I mean.
Yes,
That's
I'm with
a
you,
good
friends.
way to sort it out.
Yes, yeah,
We're
it's
on the same
always
page.
works.
Okay.
We've had
Hallelujah.
toilet paper.
Hallelujah.
Anyway, but this is the good
Where are we
stuff. This
going?
is why we're here.
Yes, this is the reason. Of
Anyway.
the, yes,
We have the air conditioning on, please.
Where are
I'm
we
with
going?
you.
Okay. Andrew, what does Phoebe do that makes you smile?
She smiles at me. I just think probably it's a pretty generic answer, but she's got so much swirling around in her brain.
yeah.
Like she's a mum, and she's really good at it, and that's a big focus on her. She has pastoral responsibilities. She works a full-time job, and it's not just a clock on at 9, switch the brain on, switch it off at 5 o'clock, go home. Like she's thinking about the next day beforehand. She's thinking about a dozen operations that she
Wow.
did that afternoon, and she's rushed home for bath time. And so when you think about that, and she does something intentional out of love, for me, it's a comment, it's an act of physical touch, it's
Yeah.
a gift, it's a hey, I cooked you something nice. Like that makes me smile.
That's
You
beautiful.
appreciate the effort.
I appreciate it when she goes, oh, hang on, he's a high priority, even though I don't give him a lot of time because we're not in that stage of life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's lovely. Beautiful. What about you, Phoebe? What does Andrew do that makes you smile?
It's very hard to narrow it down to just one thing
Yeah.
because there's just
Yeah.
so many. He makes me laugh. He brings me out of my head. He brings me down to earth and keeps me grounded.
Yeah.
He's my biggest advocate and champion. He always has supported me. He's never been intimidated by my work or tried to
so
somehow put a cap or a limit on
Wow.
what I can do. He's been the one who's pushing me and championing me and saying, what can I do to support you to be all that you can be and be the best person that you can be? How can I support you in that? How can I champion you? And he's always been right there, being my biggest support and help. And he listens. If I need to debrief or at the end of a big day, if I'm tired, if I'm run down, if I've got a lot going on in my head that I'm just trying to process. He doesn't try and fix it. He doesn't try and tell me what to do. He just he listens and he supports in that. And then he tells some terrible joke that makes me laugh. It suddenly brings it all back down to earth.
That's good.
Beautiful.
That's really cool. Thank you for saying
It just keeps me grounded. And
So what advice could you give to couples concerning the topic we're talking about? It's true that your decision-making process differ. Like you have your quick kind of process. You have your slow,
wise.
Wise, yeah.
Say
Wise.
wise, not
safe.
necessarily, yeah.
Okay, not slow, but
Wise.
yeah. Okay.
and safe. Is
Yeah.
You can
Yours
say
is
slow.
also
Yeah.
wise.
Yeah.
That's the point I'm
Yeah.
trying to
stupid
make.
one over here.
They are both wise.
Both of them are wise.
Yeah. I call
Only
it,
if you get it
I
right.
call it slow.
Cautious.
Slow is not an insult. Slow is a good word.
Careful.
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 Considered.
Considerate.
Ooh, now, dictionary over. Okay.
All this is to avoid the word slow.
Yeah, okay, sure.
We don't want the word slow.
Okay. Considerate, safe, all those words. So, what can you tell couples out there that are struggling to reach agreement? And what have you learned that you can advise other couples to implement?
Yeah, try and find resolution as soon as possible, because if it festers and it is prolonged, it will raise up other secondary issues as well. And so you're starting to throw other issues into the mix as you go by. Also, you never win an argument, and that's not like there are no winners when it comes to arguments in marriage.
That's good.
Like someone might get their way, but if you've strong-armed them into doing it, you've got someone who is rejected, resentful, bitter,
So good. Yeah,
potentially.
I
So like even if you're 40% happy, 60% happy, just go with it.
Yeah.
Because you want the best.
You never win an argument. Someone is.
There's no winner
Yeah,
in that.
that's
argument.
beautiful.
So good. Love it.
Excellent.
What about you, Phoebe?
I would say first keep the soft heart between you, in that if everything's done out of a loving place, even if you don't agree, it's that whole principle of I don't agree with you, but I'm going to hold your hand.
Yes.
And if
Oh,
you,
yeah.
Thank you. If you can keep that soft heart between you, then you know that that person, you're reassured that they've got your best interests at heart, as well as just recognizing that this is not your opponent, this is your teammate,
Yes.
So good.
and that you're actually working towards the same end
Yeah.
goal,
Yeah.
and that trying to really reassure one another and remind yourself that this person is your teammate. They're paddling in the same canoe as you. You're really actually trying to head in the same direction,
Yes, yes.
and trying to see it from their point of view as well. That they're not out to hoodwink you. They're not out to win one over you.
Yeah.
They really want the best for you,
Yeah.
and they just have a different way of going about it.
Wow. So for the last 12 years, you have been processing that. That has been your lifestyle. You're trying to.
Yeah. I
Believe
We
think
get a little
like,
better every year.
you get a little bit every year. You learn more about the other person, and you learn
Yes.
more about yourself.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you know when an issue in yourself that is bothering you is starting to build up, and then the quicker, the better you are at identifying that earlier on, that's when you can stop the conflict, and you can talk about it and say, "Hey, toilet paper, mate." Oh yeah, sorry. And so you can get on top of it before it becomes an issue that just wipes you out.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Toilet paper.
I didn't mean that. I don't. That isn't choreography.
Yeah.
That was just.
You say wipes you out on purpose.
Anyway. Oh
on
no,
the
I used the word wipe. Oh no. We cut.
So funny.
Yeah. But
That's
anyway.
beautiful. I just like what you said, both of you. Like Andrew said that there's no winner in an argument. I just love that. It's really powerful to have
Yes.
that perspective. And also what Phoebe said, that you're all together in the same canoe. You're
Yeah.
actually going to the
That's
same
very
place. That's
wise, yeah.
really cool. Really cool to see. If you just have those two things in mind, I think it's gonna help your marriage.
Yeah.
And so thank you guys.
Also, a corny little analogy is if you've got your back turned to that person, you
Yes.
can't hug them. So
Yes.
if you're just working together side by side, or you're facing each other, you can reach out and physically hug them, metaphorically as well.
Yeah.
But if you're like, no, I don't want to look at you, I don't want to think about you, I don't want to talk to you,
Yeah.
then you're not helping the situation.
But some people say that. Some people say they need that to cool down. They
do
need,
that, yeah, absolutely, yeah. But you will get cold.
Yes, that's true.
Don't
That's
get
true.
cold.
Yeah.
That's true.
So, yeah.
That's very true. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys for watching and listening. We hope you had an amazing time, because we for sure did. Remember to subscribe and click the notification bell so you do not miss when we post new episode. And remember, when family is healthy, the nation, is healthy. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.
See you next time.
Bye.
Yeah.